All right.
Let's wait till these guys get their cameras set up.
So we are live.
Okay. All right. So we're live at Digital Hollywood Spring 2016. I'm Aaron Lemos. I'm a teacher at John F. Kennedy High School in Granada Hills, and I have a magnet program of filmmakers for 3 years. So I brought some of them with me today, and we're hoping to tell a story. And what I have is who I have with me is Daniel Molina, who is a junior at Kennedy. And what are you getting out of this so far, Daniel?
What I got out of this is learning about different careers I can also chase other than film. And I'm learning about what Digital Hollywood brings to the students and also brings to the careers that are involved in it.
So what are some of the careers that you found out today?
Well, I found out that there's millions of jobs that are going to be required in the United States that involve coding. And right now we are not reaching those numbers. So if I don't make it in film or whatever I want to make it in, I can chase something in coding because I need people there.
Well, that's also one of the things about Digital Hollywood, especially today, as we're talking about the partnerships between entertainment and education and the digital realm. So you can do both.
Yes.
And I think the key word today is collaboration.
Yeah.
We're about to step into a session on the education entertainment partnership, and there's a big initiative going on now. Put this out there with the CSUs and how to connect those students to the entertainment industry. So we're having a interesting conversation earlier with some of those. So I think that's something that students will help. And it's not just about the storytellers, not just about the directors. I think it's about those behind-the-scenes jobs that may not seem so glamorous, but are available and out there for everyone to know. And so it's all about getting the word out there.
Sure.
What do you have to say about that?
Well, just that. Well, this shows you that, like, in production, it's not only the director, the cameraman, and the actors. It's just hundreds of jobs really behind the scenes that you can really look into. And like he said, the collaboration that everything brings really helps you.
So you want to tell me about this thing you guys just got?
This, well, somebody brought their invention to Digital Hollywood. And what it is a virtual reality stimulator for your phone. And what you do is you place your phone inside here and you adjust it to the size of your phone. You close it up. You align it with the little, there's going to be an aligner on the app which helps you align it. And once you get the app up and running, you just look into it and you're somewhere else, just like that.
And have you tried it out yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so we'll try that out and get back to you on that. But it's things like that, probably 2 years ago this thing wasn't even a thought, and now, it's available, it's portable, it's inexpensive, and so it's not just about creating things like this, but now thinking about the apps that are created and how they're going to work with VR goggles like this. And it's not just for entertainment, it could be for education, it could be for medical devices, it could help doctors in surgery, things like that. This is just the launch, the kickoff of Digital Hollywood, and I'm learning a lot already, and I haven't moved more than 10 feet in either direction, so there's a lot to be discovered here. You were interviewing some people earlier. What did you find out?
Well, I actually interviewed people who are here to actually, well, there was one man who wanted to network and actually get in with people who are with virtual reality and actually climb up in that, so to speak, that business.
So has he already entered that industry, or is he just kind of trying to get information?
He's entered it, but he wants to collaborate with people to climb higher.
I think there's a lot of time for that to network here. That's a big part of this thing. Hopefully, in the future, they figure out a way to bring in more high school students and to get a true education summit. So it doesn't just start at college, and they realize that the jobs and the promotion of the entertainment and digital realm starts really early. I mean, it starts in elementary school.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why you can't start teaching students how to get these careers going.
Actually,
early.
to add on to that, some man was speaking. A man upstairs, he was talking about how in the United Kingdom, in elementary school, you can learn about kittens, animals, science, basic math, and also you turn around and you learn about coding.
Yeah,
you learn
that's
how to code
amazing.
in elementary school, which is pretty amazing.
That is, excuse me. You hear about, a lot of the jobs that are going to be out there in your future
Yes.
haven't even been invented yet. So it's a fast-growing. I mean, in some ways it's hyper fast that the way the industry is going, and I know you guys are bringing a lot to the table already in terms of filmmaking, and we have a crew filming us right now.
Yeah.
But it's we're going out live. We have these guys filming us. We're going out live. They're going to produce something. We'll put it up on the website. It'll stream, and hopefully we'll get some views. What do you think an event like this does for our school or for our program? What do you think that we can bring back to those that are not here today?
Well, what we can take back is we can show them that what we can look for in digital jobs, like that it's really diverse. We have like a lot of diversity of diverse jobs, like filmmaking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Diverse job. But as you're going on for, if you look around, the diversity is not really seen here in terms of ethnicity. I'm saying it's fairly homogenous, but we're here to celebrate, not really to denigrate at this time. So, but it is Teacher Appreciation Day around the country, and I know you don't have to say anything about me because I know you got a lot to say, but is there a teacher or an educator in your life that changed your life or really gave you an opportunity to learn something new or interesting
Well,
that you would like to thank?
well, you obviously, because you've expanded my mind when it comes to filmmaking, and you
Okay.
pushed me to be better. So I
Thanks.
really appreciate that. So thank you, Mr. Linda.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Anyone else you want to thank?
I'd like to thank Ms. Serrano, my English teacher,
Okay.
because she pushes me as well and gets on my case whenever I don't turn in an assignment or something like that.
Yeah. And it's not a mean thing.
Yeah, it's
She
not.
really sees. I know. She's a fantastic teacher. I think one of the other things that I want to talk about is the opportunities are coming up for various film festivals, win awards. When we're talking about film festivals, what do you think you would like to see happen in a film festival? What would you like to produce for a film festival? Would you like to win an award? What do you think?
I'd like to make a film for the film festival and win an award.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. It's not just that simple.
No, but so it's not that easy. But what's the big challenge you think in being a high school filmmaker? What's your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is to make the employers and the people who will accept you into college is what makes them stand out. What are they going to bring to the job to the film industry that people haven't brought before, or what's so special about this person, and why should we bring them to this university?
Okay. And so what is, say, an event like today, and the work you guys are doing, getting interviews, doing virtual reality, whatever you're doing today. How is this event or this experience going to help you?
Well, not many people could say that they interviewed people who are in virtual reality, or high school students, so to speak.
Okay.
And we could show off our skills in communication and how we could actually get somebody to open up to us about what they're doing. I think that's something that not a lot of people can do.
Yeah, I think that's a good skill to have, especially if you're going to be going on an interview, and a lot of it is research. So if you're in a job and they start talking about virtual reality or some of the other things that are happening here, you'll have some of that experience and some of that background knowledge too. I think that's helped. What about you guys? What about the camera crew? What do you guys have to say? So I hear we got Stephanie Moreno and Julia Toker that are our camera crew right now, but Daniel will take the camera and maybe I'll have Stephanie sit in.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Stephanie, part of this experience was made possible through LA High Tech, which is a grant that we've received and are part of, and you're going to get college credit for the class next year as a senior. What do you see as an experience or something that you'll take back from this and maybe tell the other students that will get them excited about where this class and where our program is going?
Well, I just think it's all the experiences like this that the class provides us with. Like, we get to meet new people, and we interviewed so many people that are a part of different things, and we get to experience so many new things. And this is an environment that I've never been in, so it's just cool to be in different environments.
Okay. And you got a huge experience awaiting you this summer. You want to tell a little bit about what you're going to be doing this summer?
Well, I got an internship for Bad Robot.
I've never heard of Bad Robot. What is that?
It's a company. It's a film and TV company founded by J.J. Abrams.
No, I was just kidding.
Yeah. And I'm really excited. I'm a little bit nervous because it's a serious company, and I'm sure they'll be pretty nice to me. But I don't know what to expect, and hopefully I get good experiences.
Well, I think you're going to get good experience, and I think you'll come back and you'll be able to hopefully share some of those experiences with us, and not only will you be a better person for it, hopefully our program will be a better person. That's a good selling point for our program, for the LA High Tech grant. I think that's really key when you're getting these opportunities and taking advantage of them, and not be afraid of some of the challenges. Like you said, it's you're a little nervous, sure. It's like starting any new job. You're always nervous the first day, but I have a feeling by the end of the first week you're going to be fine. You're going to be comfortable there, and I can't tell you how many people around the world would want to work at that company, and you're getting that experience in high school.
The man who interviewed me, his name is Josh Tate, he told me that the whole program is based upon what the kids who apply want. So if I want to do something, or if I want to be a part of a meeting, or if I want to see people work and edit, I should ask. Like, I should never be afraid to ask them what I want to do, and I want to do this, and I should never be afraid to tell them what I like and what I think that they should be doing, or what I would like to see.
Well, I think you should say, I'd like to see a screening of the new Star Wars film in my school. So if you can work that out, that'd be great.
We'll see.
And does that start right after school? Like as soon as school gets out for the year?
No, it starts in July 7th.
Okay.
And I think I have it for a couple weeks.
But you'll be doing some orientation work and things like that?
Yeah, June I have my orientation. I think it's orientation for all the kids who got internships through TIP.
Okay. And what's the best part about it?
Well, I think the best part about it is like working at Bad Robot.
Okay, what's the second best part?
The money.
Yeah, you're getting paid. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a key. I mean, I know a lot of college students that get internships and they're not getting paid. So you're getting paid and getting the experience, which I think is huge. So I think regardless of what happens, I mean, you're going to have that on your resume.
Yeah.
That's really key, is building that resume. So you're already ahead of the game. I think that's really exciting. What do you think about excuse me, about the opportunities that have been afforded to you other than the TIP program. What about some of the things you've learned and how you can apply them into what you've learned?
Oh, well, like throughout the program, also like Skills USA, it taught me a lot about time management. I think my partner and I, Julia, we worked well under pressure, and we think our product turned out very well. And I think next year, well, throughout the competition, we made sure that we didn't lose what we wanted to put into our film, and we make sure that we didn't lose the authenticity of our product. So we didn't want to make something cheesy or just think about what the judges want. We also wanted to put something that we wanted. So we also have to remember that we put something that matters to us in it.
Well, that's always key as a filmmaker, to find your voice and to really be able to defend your work. And so that's part of what you're doing today is you're going to be able to take this footage that you guys are shooting today and find the story in there to go back and to share with not just our students, but to anyone who might click on the link. We'll put it up on YouTube and tell a story about digital Hollywood, and it'll be something that you'll be able to experience again and to share with students, with the world, with people in LA Tech, with people at the district, with people, maybe even people that are here watching.
Use the stream behind us.
Yeah. You can see we're being streamed live, so hopefully somebody's watching. I don't want to be talking to myself. What do you see as kind of the way that entertainment? What do you want to do when you grow up?
Oh, well, obviously I want to be in the film industry.
Right.
Well, my ultimate goal is like to become a director because I really like it. I like every aspect of it.
Right.
I like the editing, the cinematography, the writing.
Right.
Because when I came into the film program, at first I wanted to be a journalist for fashion magazines, and I was really into writing. And I came into the program thinking, oh, it's going to be a class that I really like, but I didn't think that I was going to like it as much as to go like in the future and want a career out of it. So I want to become a director and hopefully go to school for film and like make my own projects and just work my way up.
So now you're gonna be a director. Are you setting your sights on one thing, or are you kind of open to anything?
Well, I'm open to anything because the class has like expanded me to editing and everything, but maybe throughout me learning everything like cinematography, editing, and sound, writing, maybe I might find something that I might like more than directing or something.
What I'm saying is, I totally agree with you, but what about smaller opportunities? Maybe you won't get a feature or your own television show, but are there other things you can see yourself directing, or?
Well, like making short films, like creating for YouTube, because there's lots of filmmakers on YouTube that make amazing films, and that's what they want to be doing. Or there's this company named Vice. Mm-hmm. It's a really great company, so I'd love to like make films for that. Or
they have a TV channel now too.
Yeah, they do have a TV channel.
There's a lot of stuff going on. So there's a lot of opportunities. So, did you know about these other opportunities when you came into the program in 10th grade?
No.
No. So what opened up your mind to Vice and to YouTube and things like that?
Well, I had already followed people on YouTube.
Okay.
Like YouTube had been a really big part of my life.
Yeah.
But I think once I got into it and once I started liking film, I started researching things that I could be doing, and like instead of following the like bloggers on YouTube, like the beauty posts and like the makeup tutorials, I went in and looked at short films, and I would look at short films for Skills USA, like just to get inspiration as to what I wanted to do for mine.
Do you look at any of the how-tos, the how to shoot films, how to do effects, how to do things about filmmaking?
For our film that we just did, Julie and I did a split screen so that I was on, so I played two of the characters on the screen, and so we had to search up how to put two different videos at the same time in the same frame. So
that's how you learned it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how we learned it.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart. So there's ways you can do that. So maybe one day you can be out there telling people how to do something after you've accepted your Academy Award.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's get Julia in here, who's the third of our triumvirate today.
And then after that, we've got a guy,
Okay.
Shane Pace.
Okay. So Julia is just handing off the mic to Stephanie or Daniel. One of them will be taking over. And Julia is another junior filmmaker here. And what's been your experience today?
I learned a lot about how technology can really benefit the educational system. Because before I just thought like, okay, it's books. Like it's always been books.
Yeah.
You should keep it at books and like paper and pencils. But then like we were at a seminar and they were talking about it and they were talking about how like people start to, not people, but like students, like young students, they start to learn things like at their own pace
Right.
and like at their own understanding, so that not like the whole room is forced to like learn something at once, and if they don't get it then they just get left behind and
Right.
just go.
All right.
Yeah.
So give me an example of how that would translate into like our classroom. I mean, Stephanie said something about, you know, the editing you guys did, or the production you did for Skills. Is there any other examples?
As to like knowing what's going on the whole time,
Or how people can use internet or use technology to kind of
oh yeah,
change their learning or
yeah,
their
definitely.
pace?
I mean, there's Google, so you can find out about everything on Google. So
But
yeah, with me, like if I have any questions about how to use our editing software,
yeah.
I just Google it. Like, how do you like color correct? How do you adjust this? How do you flip a clip?
And you can be anywhere when you're doing that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not just
Yeah, it's not just
At
in the
school.
classroom. You can
Right.
do it at home.
so. Books are quaint, would you say? Are they books or something that in the past, or they still have a place?
No, I think they're still pretty important. I don't know, like, I mean, I do like books,
Yeah.
but I'm not much of a reader myself.
Okay.
I'm more of like a listener. So I think in that case, like if you had like an audiobook, but you were also reading along with it, you can also comprehend a lot more
Okay.
of what you're reading.
What about some of the things you saw today? Is from you saw this thing as well today, right?
Oh, the digital reality thing?
What do you think?
I don't know, when I first saw it, I was like, they look like goggles, like underwater goggles.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like 10 years ago, you wouldn't think like this would be a thing that's just like so common and like people can just like get it.
Yeah, I mean it's really just a cardboard box and some spectacles, but I'm sure there's something behind it that will help. But are you curious about what you're going to see in here?
I'm just curious about how it would be used in like a classroom. I mean, I can understand maybe like it would be used to take you to a different environment. So if you're learning about a certain place, then the teacher could be like, okay, like take out your,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's-
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, virtual
Like
field trip.
across the planet, the world.
That would be kind of cool. I can see that
universe.
happening. Do you think this is accessible as far as a classroom setting goes?
I think so. I mean, these ones were only like what, $10 to get, so it wasn't very expensive. But I don't know. We'd have to check like if every school would want like.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of technology that it's moving so fast that as a teacher I see it's really hard to keep up
Yeah.
with everything changing every day, and then we still have those teachers that are technophobes. I'm sure you've had some of them. Does it get frustrating as a student when a teacher is not up on technology?
Yeah, sometimes it does, because like they'll tell us to like, oh, check the website for this or that, and then you're like, okay, so you check the website, it's not there, and they're like, what? Like I thought I put it up, and then they'll be having their own problems with
Okay.
like their computers, while you're just like, okay, like what do I do since you're not fixing it yet?
But that's kind of, I mean, the website's one thing, but what about other technologies used in the classroom? Do you have a lot of technology outside of my class? My class is all
Yeah.
computers and everything, but in your other classes, in English, in history, and math, are you guys using technology?
In math, I'm currently taking statistics, but we use this program called RStudio on the laptops, And what it is like we put in certain codes, and out with those codes come out like bar graphs, histograms of like certain data that we enter within the code.
Right.
So we do that, and it's pretty interesting to see how like syntax is like really important with what you type in. So if you type in something wrong, then like it's not going to turn up at all, and it'll say like error, and then you won't get like your
And is that
result.
used on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? Is it?
I would say weekly. We go over it as a class together. We do it individually.
And are you just learning data entry essentially, or are you really understanding what you're typing in and the
Yeah,
output?
the teacher usually goes over like what the code is, like this means that, and then we type in like the parentheses because like to
Okay.
separate it.
Yeah. And is that something you can do at home, or do you have to be at school?
Yeah, you can do it at home. It's on the website.
So it's cloud-based.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other classes that you feel?
I have a graphic design class, and we just use Photoshop. We learn how to make like different graphics, different pictures, how to make like something look a certain way.
So can you see how that might work, or can it work with this other program in math? Is there a way to integrate them, or can you see them? Are they exclusive? Are they just things to live on their own island?
Not that I know of now,
Okay.
but I don't know how we could intertwine the two, but I'm sure like someone will figure out like really soon.
So I talked to Stephanie about her summer. What's your summer look like?
Oh, I got an internship with Full Screen, and they work with a lot of YouTubers, a lot of famous YouTubers. I think I'm going to be working for 6 weeks, and it's out in Los Angeles, so I'm going to be having to take public transportation.
And what's your goal? What do you hope to gain from that?
Connections. I want to know people. I want them to know me. I want them to remember me, so that I have someone to go to if I need a favor. They can come to me if they need a favor.
And that's, an interesting thing is Stephanie is going to be at an entertainment company that's huge for screen, for television and film.
Yeah.
And you're going to be working at YouTube, which is,
Yeah.
or for a company that does mostly YouTube. Do you see any kind of, like, is there any kind of envy there, or is it just entertainment's entertainment at this point?
Yeah, I just see it as two different things. Like not like one's better than the other.
Right.
It's like this one's more like internet based, and then Bad Robot would be like
Okay.
more like film, I guess.
300 milliseconds.
All right. Are we ready?
I'm ready for
Okay.
Got
Well,
chain paste.
thanks, Julia. I'm going to invite somebody else to step in here. I'll let him introduce himself, and
Thank you.
hopefully, thank you guys.
Introduce yourself and
Hopefully
Free
we'll
flow?
get somebody. Free flow, yeah.
Free flow, all right.
Hi.
Hi, Aaron Shane.
Hi, Shane.
Nice to meet you.
So what brings you to Digital Hollywood?
So I'm Dr. Shane Pace, and I'm a media and technology psychologist, and my area of expertise is in AR and VR. And we're here to promote the idea that content creation is a wonderful thing, hardware creation is even more wonderful, but you have to have the understanding of the human condition to really create proper content. We've had that in the linear world for decades, decades and decades. We have it down to an art and a science. And, we award that every year, the Emmys and the,
Right,
and
right.
the Oscars. But now we're into this new sphere of entertainment and of media presentation, and it's not the linear, the linear filmmaking and production that it used to be. And so we're having to teach people new ways to understand the human condition so that they can create that content so it'll be just as effective as it was in the linear planes. But we go beyond just entertainment, and we also delve into the human condition for therapeutic interventions and for social storytelling, and how do we impact empathy on the end user, and how do we utilize these technologies to expand and extend the impact of what they're viewing and what they're engaging in.
So are you looking at how people use the end product and the effect it has on them, or?
Not so much how they use it, because the use is the use.
Okay.
Right? You put the set of head-mounted display for VR on, and that's the usage.
Right.
It's the content that we're more curious about. When you're developing this content, and there's being millions and millions of dollars thrown at it right now, how does that affect the end user? So as media psychologists, we're concerned with the content creators to say, okay, listen, the research in the offline world in psychology says this, and if you want to ensure that you are not creating motion sickness and you're not, your people aren't missing the story because the cues aren't there in traditional storytelling with VR, that you can have that understanding because we've done the research to know we've got to utilize these cues in order to get you to look over this direction, but at the same time, we've got to make sure on the cognitive level we're not shifting the focus too quickly, or otherwise it creates a motion sickness effect.
Okay.
So yeah, we're definitely interested in the effects of the technology on the human condition, but more interested in how can we teach the content creators what should and should not be done.
So is this used in a therapeutic sense?
In some cases, yes. There's a fantastic school at USC. Skip Rizzo is in charge of that. They're doing that very thing. They're exploring PTSD through virtual reality. Our group, the LOT Project, we also focus on augmented reality, and this is a little different than virtual reality. Virtual reality is all enclosed in the head-mounted display.
Sure.
Whereas with augmented reality, we take that digital information and we present it over the top of the real world through digital means. So through the use of a heads-up worn glasses, like HoloLens or
Like Google Specs kind of deal?
yeah, like the Google
Okay.
Glass
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
And we utilize that technology to place that digital information over the top of your real world in real time. Now that could just be pure basic information. Hey, this is Starbucks 10% off, or it could be a complete storytelling device where we add animated characters or even real-time realistic characters. We put them in the digital space, but immerses into your environment, so it becomes far more believable, and it decreases that gateway to disbelief, right? So in VR, we have to completely delve into this digitally created environment to believe that this is real and that we're part of it. And it's really hard to create a sense of real presence. But when we get into the AR space, we take that digital stuff and we put it into your environment, so it really reduces that, that gateway to the immersive experience.
Now, are there detractors in the field of psychology that say, why would you be taking them out of a reality into an augmented reality? Or
There's always detractors, not so much in psychology, but there's always detractors when new technologies come about, right? There's always those naysayers. It's like when the printed word came out. Everybody said you can't have the printed word. Well, in society as we know it, you can go back to Aristotle and Plato, who were concerned that if you put it on paper, it's going to cause disruption. Well, that's gone through the ages with technology. No matter what technology it is, people are always worried about the end of society, at the end of cultural norms, total social disruption. I love the idea of social disruption. I want to disrupt, society, because society gets stagnated and it gets fixated. So if I can take this technology and leverage it, so it takes you out of your comfort zone, that's what I want to do as a psychologist, especially for me concerned about societal issues. And that's how I met Kevin and Takar Media. It was Fall Digital Hollywood. We were presenting an AR piece that my company's done called the Wall Project. And what we've done is we've taken the Vietnam Memorial and we've augmented it. So there's certain names on the wall that are hot. You aim the app at that name and it recognizes the name and it launches an augmented reality experience. It's a story about that person. So no longer are these names just names carved in stone, where my 12-year-old, when he goes to the wall, says, wow, all these people have died. Wow, that's really sad. But that's the end of the impact.
Right.
Now, if I can create that impact to extend beyond that, and now that's a real person, it creates a whole new level of engagement and emotional experience. And hopefully we can do that more than just the Vietnam Memorial.
Right, and you're impacting not just the people that are viewing the app, but the media creators themselves.
Absolutely.
So,
and in this case, our media creators are actually the families, because the families are the ones with the content, and our application we've designed is drag and drop. So they take their information, their still images, their written words, their video images, and they drop all of that into an automatic editing software suite. And then that software kicks out an end product that they can manipulate. And then that goes straight to the application, and they find the name on the wall, and bang, it's on.
wow, that's amazing.
So
I was talking to my students about, a lot of the jobs haven't even been created yet that they may be going for. So in your field, how long has media psychology been part of?
A thing. Media psychology was actually created by Fielding Graduate University in Santa Barbara. It's a professional school of psychology. It's fully accredited, but they were the ones that created media psychology, the terminal degree in. So that started about 15 years ago. So it's a relatively new field. Now, of course, you've had media studies, communication studies, film studies, but this is the first of its kind degree in media psychology, where we specifically look at all forms of media, whether they're traditional or they're new forms of media technologies, and how does the human experience become impacted by that technology and by that media, and vice versa. How does the human condition affect the creation and understanding of the technologies?
So let's say that I have a student that wants to study psychology, and maybe they've been in the filmmaking program for 3 years and they want to continue that as well. Is there a discussion of film schools to start kind of creating this program as well?
We are starting to get there.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
Right.
Having a background in Hollywood myself, there's a disconnect, and a lot of times, between media and technology. There are these little bubbles that they like to live in, and while they like to shake hands and they like to say, yeah, I really like that new system you created, that's really great, behind closed doors they go, yeah, I know, who cares? We know what we're doing with film, but like I said earlier, film is an art form. It's also a science, but when you start to get into these new platforms, these media companies don't necessarily understand how to create it properly. Right. So it's going to be that same type of experience. So if I was to tell the students in the future, if you're interested in combining your interest in film creation and content creation, you need to have at least a basic understanding of the human condition, especially in future media technologies. I think it's going to be absolutely crucial. If you don't have the ability to understand how your piece is going to affect somebody cognitively, then you shouldn't be in that space, because then you're either going to have potential negative effects, or you're throwing spaghetti against the wall, as we say, and see what sticks and what doesn't. Right. Unfortunately, when you throw spaghetti against the wall, one piece sometimes sticks.
But are we talking from, theatrical release down to stuff made specifically for apps and phones? Or are we narrowing the fields in any way?
The field is as wide and as narrow as you can imagine. So we have people that study what I refer to as the traditional medias, and the different effects that those traditional medias will have on a macro scale as well as a micro scale. My particular area of interest is the newer film technologies, or the newer media technologies, specifically augmented reality and virtual reality. My interest is in the cognitive side. So how does it affect us on the cognitive level? For me, looking at augmented reality, I look at it and say, okay, it's a visual thing. How does that affect me with my visual perception? So that's my playground. So we can get down into the real finite minutia of one specific area.
And media psychology, is it also used clinically?
You can be, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of use right now with virtual reality in therapeutic intervention. Yeah, Skip Rizzo is doing a lot of work with PTSD, soldiers in theater and after theater, coming home with PTSD or experiencing PTSD in theater, and they're utilizing the virtual reality technology to help fight that.
And how many schools, you said it was fielding school, are there any other schools that are offering these degrees?
There's another university in Europe that offers a terminal degree in media psychology, and I think there's one or two other schools that offer a master's degree now in the United States, but we're still the only freestanding PhD in media psychology.
Wow, that's great.
And what Kevin's doing here, I think, is crucial work. And I think the Dakar project, or the Dakar Media, is offering such a critical component. And I've worked with Kevin a little bit on some of this stuff with LAUSD, that these younger kids coming up, they need the skills right now. Waiting to get to college to start developing these skills. And let's be honest, half the colleges don't even offer the skills that they need anyway.
Right.
I decided that I didn't have enough background in coding, so I was going to go to one of my local universities or even a local junior college to take a couple classes in coding. The only thing that was offered was Java and C++. I understand the importance of both, but where's my course in Unity? Where is it in the real engines? Where is the development that I can go to Apple with tomorrow and get a job? Because anybody and their mother can learn to code in Java, and everybody and their mother can learn to code in C++. But if I go to Apple and say, hey, I want to be your latest creator in, they say, oh, great, you know Real Engine, you know Unity, you know this, that, and the other, and I got C++.
Right.
Excellent.
Yeah, right.
There's a firm down the street. So I think what you guys are doing with the Dakar project is fantastic, and it's invaluable. And I wish more schools would get on board with this.
Well, that's what I was
opportunity.
talking to one of my students about. Was it's too late when you get into college, and I think it's, and sometimes it's even too late when you get into high school.
Yeah.
That you know, if you don't have a basic, it's almost going to be, it's going to have to be one of the basics of, you know, reading, writing, arithmetic, and coding. I don't know if that you can get an R in there, but
yeah, it's the new language.
yeah,
It is the new Spanish, French, German, Japanese, Chinese. If you don't know coding, then you're going to be illiterate in the future.
So how do we reinvent that educational?
Oh my
sphere?
God! Yeah,
I mean,
changing education is a nightmare
Right.
because it's just so ingrained in control. Right? Everybody wants to control their little slice, and everybody's got these methodologies that they've known for 40, 50 years that they want to adhere to, and then a new methodology, Common Core, is thrown out, and now Common Core is the thing, and next year Common Core will go away because we have a new administration and they all hate Common Core, so now we're throwing it. Why don't we just give the kids what they need? And to do that, you've really got to kick doors in. And I mean that literally. You've got to kick doors in. You can't just go to these guys and say, listen, this is important. You should know about this. Because they go, oh, okay, thanks. Just like when you have media and technology, they, oh, yeah, real nice. And then they go home and they don't talk to each other again. It's almost got to be guerrilla warfare with these folks to get them to understand this is crucial and you are doing a huge disservice to the students if you're not providing that for them.
Well, see, and I think, you know, I'm a teacher here, but I mean, I don't see anyone else from our district here.
Right.
And I think that was...
And why?
yeah, right.
I mean, here you have the best and the brightest in Hollywood coming to this 3-day event. Where are they? Where are the people that should be here? The Hollywood people are here. Where are the educators? I know Skip Rizzo is going to be here from USC.
Right.
We're here from Fielding, but where's everybody else?
Yeah, we need a disrupt in education.
It's
and I think
all
it's
about disruption.
passing us by. Yeah, and it's got to be those people willing to take a risk. And I know that sounds terrible when you're talking about children, taking a risk with children.
But children take a risk every day.
Yeah.
They're willing to take the risks because children generally have no fear because their boundaries and their barriers haven't all been developed for them yet. And they don't have their own experiences develop further boundaries and barriers. So they're open-minded. They're willing to learn. They're willing to be led. But you have to have somebody with the courage to lead them.
We got to get past those adult agendas leading the way.
Well, I think when you have people that are sitting on very plush and this is going to be controversial, I don't care, sorry, Kevin. When you have people sitting in high-power positions making six-figure salaries, and they really like those high-power positions, they're not going to do anything that potentially rocks the boat or causes disruption and fear that might lead to their unseating.
I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
But you have to also have that person with the vision to say, you know what? I don't care if I lose my job. These kids are my job.
Yeah.
And these kids need this type of education. It's not just learning, the basics. You've got to learn these new basics.
I think it's gone from being the in vogue thing to something that is, like you said, should be added to the curriculum.
Absolutely.
It's no longer just, oh, look what they're doing in school, isn't this great? And next year they're going to do something else, but it needs to be embedded.
And I think that it is in some schools, but it tends
Sure.
to be South Orange County.
Right.
Westwood, really nice neighborhoods with wealthy, affluent families and wealthy, affluent parents, and not afraid to push the people to say, this is important. But
Right.
when you get into the inner cities and you have one or two parents that are both working more than one job to just make ends meet, and the kids come home and some are latchkey kids or some don't have family at all, they don't get that opportunity because people just miss that.
That's why I'm really pushing my students who want to be filmmakers or media specialists, whatever it's going to be. Look around. It's in your backyard, and you have people coming from all over the world, not just all over the country, to take those jobs from you.
Right.
Why are they not? Why are you not out there? Why are you not? Why is your story not being told?
Well, and I think it's arguable that the Fourth Estate is now dead. It's at least not trustworthy in many respects. So we have a new Fifth Estate, which is the citizen journalist.
Yes.
So any of these children that want to become the next media creator, we all have the technology in our
Sure,
hand.
absolutely.
We don't need a $150,000 4K red camera. I mean, it's a nice toy to play with and it makes a great picture, but
Right.
I can use my iPhone to get 60 frames per second at 4K.
Yeah. But you say that it's wonderful, but if you don't know how to use it, if you
Right.
don't know what to
Right.
do with it, if you can't tell a story, if you can't do that,
Right, exactly.
what good is it?
Exactly. Everybody has the tools.
Right.
Now we just have to have the courage of our convictions to tell these kids this is how you use this
Right.
tool to make effective content.
Right, and that's That's where I come in.
Yes. But even then,
Yeah.
even with the new technologies, it's still all about story.
Yeah,
Story
absolutely.
is the language that connects us on all levels as human beings, right? It's what our brain craves when we're looking at psychology. We're talking about the story. What is your story, Aaron? What is my story? How does it connect us as people? How does it connect our experiences? How does it make us different? Right? We go to theories that we go from offline in psychology, and we can apply them now to online. You know, you talk about social identity theories, you talk about evolutionary dynamics theories, you talk about in-group, out-group. All of these things can be applied to psychology and new media technologies. And if we can teach these kids how to create the content and how to understand how it affects the human condition, then these kids have the power to change the world.
Yeah.
But it has to be us as adults in the
Yes.
fields to say, you have to give them this chance.
I agree. Totally agree. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Shane.
absolutely.
It was
Nice to meet
meeting
you. Keep up the great work,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you.
This is, I heard about what these kids are up to, and this is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's all, Kevin was really instrumental
Absolutely.
in getting us here, so
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate
Thanks.
it. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Shane.
Absolutely.
Are we going to...
Well, actually, I'm going to step in for a
Okay.
few minutes because I actually want to try and bridge the panel over there.
So, you've heard this man's name mentioned, Kevin. So, Kevin Clark from Dakar Media, who was instrumental in getting my students here and really is kind of someone who is disrupting my classroom in a good way, really giving us new experiences and fighting for us out there where it's hard for a teacher who may be able to have some connections, but a teacher who wants to bring new opportunity to his students. So what's been your experience today?
Well, what I'm really impressed with is the kind of impact that these students are having on some of these professionals. I see the look, the kind of gleam as to, wow, these guys are not just here, they're actually toting cameras and boom mics. They're facilitating, I think most people can imagine if you give them access to this stuff, they can actually be here and actually capture and bring something back to not only their students, but their parents and anybody else that can actually see what's possible.
Well, I think this conference is unique in that way, as opposed to maybe taking them to a place where there's other filmmakers and stuff, and you got people that are more competitive, shall we say. So it's like, oh, these guys are going to take my job. I don't want to give them too much information. Whereas these people these jobs don't exist yet. Maybe these guys might have the right idea for us. So I think there's much more of an openness here. Not to say that everyone in the film industry is like that, but I think there's a great chance that they're going to come out of here with open eyes, more opportunities than they had coming in to today. I know just seeing the augmentative reality glasses over there is something that, they're going to go back and show their friends. And they're going to be the trendsetters. They're going to be the kids that know about it and telling everyone about it. And, maybe next year when everyone else has these things, they're going to be like, oh, those are old. I'm on to something else now. But maybe using those in a way to tell their story. And maybe there's a story. They can use these to tell a story and tell their story.
Oh,
about
absolutely.
these.
Well, last year, actually, this happens twice a year. It happens October, and it also happens April, May. But in October, the whole conference was themed around virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and the difference between them. So I was a newbie in understanding what those industries were going to possibly be. And there's still a lot of nebulous as to what exactly is going to happen in terms of the workforce that needs to be created for it. But Shane was a person that showed me that there was a willingness to try and create some understanding of the requirements, the baseline requirements that anybody, whether it be an adult or a student, can start to take to migrate over in that space, so that when that funding and all of the other stuff ramps up, they can raise their hand and say, hey, I can step in there.
So I know you've come to my classroom, you've been really instrumental in kind of opening up not only my eyes and my students' eyes to a lot of opportunities that are out there. What would you say to other people in the community, such as yourself, to motivate them to maybe adopt a school or to get involved in their local schools to help get these jobs going?
Well, the first thing that I've learned is that you have to have a framework for what I've been doing. And it's really mentorship. So I've been learning a lot more about the business of mentorship and how you can actually get more streamlined into finding a school or some community organization that you can impact. And so what I want to be able to do is find a way to get as many adults as possible into a boot camp so they can learn how to be the best mentors they can be, and then they can actually find those centers of influence that will allow them to really be able to be more active listeners, active in hearing what the students in the community really need, so then they can actually then match up what those people are capable of expressing to what they can bring in solutions.
I think the key thing is what the students need, and not going in with a preconceived idea. This is what they need, or this is what I'm bringing them. And I think that's key. Is building those relationships before coming in and saying, okay, we're doing this. I think that's really important for anybody who's going to work in or work with students. And I think that's been great, because you've been definitely, okay, what do we need? What do you guys need? And this is what I can do, and let's see if we can work together. And then I tell you kind of, this is what I see. And so we kind of have this relationship that is
It's forming.
It's forming and it's developing, and I think students are already beginning to get a lot out of it. And I think opportunities such as this is huge. I'm just looking over your shoulder at my students that are setting up to interview somebody who's got a camera and some sort of cool thing. I don't know.
There's stories everywhere, and I'm hoping that they can come away with more than just a business card. And there's going to be some people I want to bring on the interview who are really the providers of opportunities for young people to not just get the internships, but apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Where corporations can adopt them,
right.
Not only through the summer, but always through their evolution as a student, as a young adult.
Yeah.
The persons that I've been working with come from Compton Unified School District. And they were unique as a school district because William Morris adopted a school district. They adopted 2 school districts in the country, one in New York and one in Southern California. Compton Unified School District, through this relationship, has selected 3 schools, a elementary, a middle, and a feeder to a high school. And they're going to work with these guys until they have really figured out what worked and what didn't work in creating a pipeline that could work for William Morris and all their partners. So I hope to really be able to find more corporations who can have a strategic way of setting up a farm system to a pipeline to actual employment for a group of students. And it's their method that they can't help everybody, so they want to focus on just a very, manageable group of people that they can actually work with, the administrators, the teachers, and the students. So
I think that's key, that they're not just a hit and run kind of deal, where they're going to come into a classroom or a school and do one big thing, and then that's it. That's the end of the relationship. And it's about the relationship.
And I really appreciate their methodology. They're very stealthy in what they're doing, and my goal really is to try and work with the people who do want to think and act out of the box, is to create a way for a corporation to match up with a very small, nimble, and agile group of students and teachers to create products and programming that will reach to the parents and reach to the stakeholders so that people can see what's happening inside of the classroom. So in your case, I want to be able to see if I can find a match for what can become that farm system. We've talked about some companies that may be willing to take that chance, but the tours, the workshops, all the job shadowing and work-based learning, I think if it's really directed towards one corporation's culture and how they want to do something, then there may be a bigger buy-in for that corporation to say, we're going to set aside some W-9 forms. We're going to set aside some real opportunity for us to do more than just goodwill. We're going to get in there and really find, some people who can actually be employed at this company.
Well, I think what, you were saying, internship, mentorships, work-based learning, all these things, it basically comes down to an apprenticeship. Is kind of what we're aiming for.
And that's a word that doesn't really exist in the
Right.
United States that much,
Right.
especially in digital media.
Right.
Everybody really talks about just getting in the way you can get in with relationships
Right.
and finding your way. But I think when you bring in technology and you start to realize that people are starting to need a little bit more than just the artistic creative side, they need to learn how to code and how to compress video. They're going to start looking really for people who have those, skill sets that can be both right brain and left brain. And that way, you're not just helping them, find a group of people they can adopt. You're actually finding a way to help them create the next workforce that they're going to really
Right.
cherry pick from if they want to be able to compete with the best and brightest in the world globally.
It also helps an event like this where the students are able to go up to these people that are innovators and introduce themselves and have a conversation and not be afraid of these people. They may not know, but that's how you learn.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things we found in working with Compton Unified School District the last 4 years, is that there's a lot of really capable students, but they haven't had the experience in engaging with adults that they don't know.
Yeah.
And so they tend to not trust that they are either worthy or there's not some communication or engagement piece that will allow them to feel free to ask a question. No matter how disconnected the question may be to anything, these people would like to know who they are at the core. And so I want to be able to make sure that all of your students are capable of looking somebody in the eye, shaking them with a firm hand, and really being able to promote and say, hey, I'm Daniel.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to pick your brain about how I can work for you one day.
Well, I gave my students marching orders today, and it was 2 words: be curious. That's it. Be curious. Ask questions. It's like these are people that are here for a reason. You're here for a reason. Your reason is to be curious. Let's find out what's going on.
Wow. And there's a lot of people who I've met in digital Hollywood along the way who have now evolved into stakeholders and leaders. And they don't come to digital Hollywood anymore because they're really busy trying to figure out how to keep their corporations competitive. Intel, Apple, Google, those were the companies that really gave me an idea that technology has now invaded Hollywood.
Right.
And the marriage between those two are really what I think I can do to help kids understand that there's some jobs there, there's some careers there that will help to give them a competitive advantage over people who are really kind of stuck in the traditional model of just being able to get in Hollywood by, maybe that lottery system or figuring out how they know somebody. But there's a tremendous amount of collateral that can be had by people that are young and know these tools and use these tools. And to some degree know these tools better than the instructors and their parents.
Right. Yeah, it's not just, putting your trailer on a website and driving traffic that way anymore. It's going much more beyond that. It's telling the stories of the filmmakers. It's telling the stories behind the scenes. It's developing whole new content areas for that. So, there is so much that technology is driving in the entertainment industry, and I think a lot of people only see the glamour positions. Not that they're not glamorous, but I think, the director, the writer, the actor, whatever. And I tell my students, when you look at a film, look at all the names in the credits. It's a collaborative effort. And then you're missing out that whole marketing plan.
Well, one of the things that I love to do is to look at the academies, the TV Academy, the Film Academy, the Music Academy. All of them have awards programs just for the tech sides.
Yeah, right.
They're on a different day, you may not see them on TV, but those people are getting Academy Awards and Emmys, and they're getting the kind of recognition for being able to bring that art form and that science to the highest place, where people not only can be judged amongst their peers as the best, but are going to be the people that I think will become the models for what students today will start to figure out. How can I create, innovate, but also look at award-winning product? Because I think that's why most people want to be in this business, because they want to be recognized amongst their peers as the best and brightest. And I don't think that there's any surprise that where students are going and the learning curve is not as severe for them as to learn how to use these technologies. But I believe that these guys are going to, at some point, have an opportunity to create their own their own platform for recognizing each other. And that would be the greatest evolution of being an advocate for student-facing, student-run programming, is to have students starting to interview each other and to recognize each other, and eventually do the kind of sharing that is happening here in Digital Hollywood. Because these people on panels are networking, they're coming away with potential new deals. That could happen at a student level. And again, it's up to us to try to figure out how to figure out what's the earliest possible age that a student can start to become part of a cohort,
Right.
and start to figure out, well, where is this exchange coming from? Where's this exchange at, and where can I get maybe some part of it, even at the level that I'm at as a young person, as a child almost. And that's probably where I think most of the advocators for student development, especially when you talk about emotional intelligence and 360-degree thinking, that would be a real good example of how to give kids who are learning a little bit more about those skill sets, to give them the power to create a way for them to recognize each other's genius. And that's what I'd really like to see happen. If nothing else happened, I just want to see something that's run by students, for students.
Yeah,
And we sit on the sideline and we watch it happen, but we know that that's kind of possible.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the stakeholders like yourself, if you do anything to encourage that, I think it'll be a hero.
And I think if there is a, excuse me, when a student takes ownership of whatever it is they're doing, they're invested more. They are there's a confidence level in them that rises, and they are stronger people for it. I think they, across the board, they're going to be ahead of the game, as opposed to someone who is, spoon-fed information, as opposed to going out there and experiencing this on your own. And whether they succeed or fail, they're going to be better for it.
Well, there isn't a classroom that teaches leadership. By example, you can be a leader by doing and sharing what you've done. And that's truly what I believe is the common denominator amongst the students who take the deep dive into going into programs where they're going to be showcased.
Yeah.
It's easy to be behind the scenes, behind the camera, but at some point, I think what we're looking for is the person who can actually do this so well in the art form that it becomes a science for them to just show and tell. And sooner or later, they're going to be the people who really are going to be leading people in the directions that are almost, again, just second nature for students.
Yeah. And we need to get, like I spoke with Shane about, we need to kind of disrupt the top down. We need to get those people willing to take that risk, willing to allow. It's really allowing students to fail. It's really allowing them to take a risk and
better
to
time.
learn.
I mean, when they're young, to learn how to, fall forward and fall quick and get back up when you're on your parents' dime.
That's right. Yeah, I mean it's key. And I think a lot of the students I see when I first come into my classroom is they're afraid. They want to please me, not themselves. Is this okay? Can I do this? By the time they come out of it, they're able to say, look what I did, and this is why. And it's not about me anymore, it's about them. So there's that shift, and I think if we had more opportunities for them to develop those skills, to be able to say, I did this, or I tried to do this, it may not be perfect, but I tried it, and next time I know I'm going to do better, as opposed to you wrote a paper, here's your A, move on to the next thing. It's really about building kind of resiliency. It's about
and you don't learn that through assignments that are cookie cutter.
Every project that we do in my class, at the end we critique it, and I can be kind of harsh, so can the students, but they're building on it. And it's not negative. It's what can you do to improve, and I will pick it apart. But they know that I'm not picking on them, that I'm challenging them. So by the time they come out of my program, they are true filmmakers, where they have a style, they have the ability to challenge themselves, as opposed to me challenging them, and they're not afraid to try something.
Wow.
They're not afraid to take
good,
a risk.
That's good, effective teaching. And speaking of teaching, today is National Teachers Day, Teachers Appreciation Day. Can you tell me about anything that teaching has meant to you that you can share with anybody about your experience with teaching at JFK?
Yeah, I thought I'd never be doing it. Never, ever. I started out originally working in the film and television industry and freelance productions. Did a lot of stuff with HBO and TNT and worked for Disney for a while. So I thought that's where I was going to end up. And as you know, the industry is, freelance especially, you're always looking for your next job. And so after, not working for a while, I kind of fell into teaching, and it was the hardest thing I ever did.
Been?
I've been teaching now for 15 years. And that first year was awful. It was terrible. But it was those students that now